Akwaba na apom te saying.
Oh, yeah,
Asa mete won kan che kakra.
Why?
Gordon asare we dey akoso chia prof.
Hey, Gordon.
Gordon.
Prof, you be shani up body bi.
For MFanko you.
En gaza bon so for me fankodi. No.
Gordon.
Prof.
Where am I kaunia?
Mate, you better body kakra. Bi ento 200 in ya 50 cedis dey bi na 20 abam bi
Oh, ona moya na maji ni pa anya ekosi bon. Obi akoto le board dey 200 ponka.
So anyways, but prof on the big issue and of course, you know, train the details in the ANAS expose, but already details kakra about leading to some actions be from the presidency. The Minister of State at the Finance Ministry has been fired. Already, there are talks of investigations from the special prosecutor. I don't know, President Aoda say into me and happen. What do you think? The Akosui and pay?
Maybe also in political science, at the basic level, we try to draw a distinction between power, authority, and influence. Power and influence, for instance, they are not and call for efforts. They are the same, but they are different. Sometimes people of influence are seen as powerful people, but when we talk about power, we are talking about the ability to get one's way through, even in the face of opposition. The legitimate use of power, any effect of authority, and then the ability to convince people of power and authority to do something they would ideally not have done. Any effect of influence. So there are so many influential people in every democratic practice. There are powerful people, there are people of authority, and then also influence peddlers in every democratic regime. Now, though influence peddling is a criminal and a form of corruption, it is pervasive, especially in developing democracies where things do not work and where the bureaucracy is rather used to frustrate the conduct of business. What do they make out here? Bureaucracy, ideal type bureaucracy formulated by Max Weber, it was supposed to bring about efficiency in the conduct of the administrative machinery and administrative functioning of the state. But in many democracies, particularly those developing democracies like what pertains in Ghana, again, the bureaucracy itself, it is used as a mechanism to frustrate the conduct of business. Now, investors outside the country are aware of our rigid processes and policies and the needless bottlenecks.
Yeah.
And then influence peddlers too are also aware. Hence, investors outside who tend to be frustrated by our bureaucratic bottlenecks. And then influence peddlers regime they are aware, and they both are willing to do business. But this kind of business, is criminal, and it's a type of corruption that tarnishes our image internationally and reduces investor confidence, and even adds to the cost of doing business, which is then eventually passed on to the ordinary buyer. So obi person obey business na wo na wo ye fasika we bra na mini we nko kasa na niam be koso amawa. Emma business no, the cost of doing it no high. Eventually you ton ade na say the ordinary ade citizen na obey at the receiving and na ho e kire no. Enti eno ne preliminary remarks are made to me in this particular incident, it is out there because some work has been done on it. But influence peddling generally, is usually seen as a favor being done to some people, and so it doesn't get out. Wait here, aba abonti because obi asheda I atonoboase ayehunjuma. But anyway, it's been there. It is there everywhere, and it's a criminal type of corruption. But it is pervasive, particularly in developing democracies where bureaucracies do not work or they are used to frustrate the conduct of business. Now, in this particular incident, Abba Ama the finance minister, minister of
state, yes,
in charge of finance at the presidency. Let me say, Nientiama reaction swift and say there's been popular, as you may be aware, there's been popular demand for him and Kenofurata to resign or be fired by the president because of the way one manage economy for say ama uyini or how ne or common people feel that yes, investment banking strategies and techniques they are that teacher of mine ama it could be na baby a there say yes same na enkofo from so eba na omubehwe say ometumi de ideas bebua. You see, men digress, but you see, I speak to the importance of reshuffle and the importance of bringing on board so many other brains and talents that we have tended to waste them under President Akufo-Addo. Wokaya ansana yemra obey a greater Accra regional minister
Henry Cote.
Ansana Henry Cote ebebano not there were greater Accra regional ministers. But she said Henry Cote autoto nyama wan kan. Who say or the ahodin fufu bi yin fi national security no or the ahon adon utie president house papa no yin fi national security po na nkompe. Now so oba greater Accra no or the ahodin fufu ni o pepa bi ni siye papa bi e di ye dwuma the consequences and I say for I say amount for two no na so for so mfa no on edwuma na oye hwe yewura nana komia and sana ye de no call STC no it was virtually moribund na nyedwuma now so say ono call no STC is working to rival na California can VIP no
sure
I not say so we reshuffle we adwuma ko si bibi na sa obi for ba so meto asa say akensie bi obi so person or ye sen ya wo ye na kosa na ema oman no den etumpon enti no ye ka se onko one resign ye omuyi ene na sefo we no nyina ama oman no ma ye he ena me say na asemi so beba akoye to say a last straw that may have broken the camel back. Ideally, whatever is making rounds, and I say whatever is about to be shown, should be deemed as a mere allegation. The rules of natural justice would have dictated same. Unipana or at the center, should have been heard.
Yeah.
Well, he must be given the opportunity to defend himself.
Sure.
Because I would say. And then depend na and so no when a kwanya ye faso ye some investigative journalism. Then depend na it be no more raise serious concerns about the modus operandi of some investigative journalists in our part of the world. And my view is that in our quest to build a just society, there should be an elite consensus on conventional and even unorthodox means to expose rot in society. To my mind, as a political scientist, I believe we cannot employ immoral, corrupt practices to expose immoral, corrupt practices in society. Now, this is never to say, I am aware of how this particular expose was undertaken. And it's never to say, be a crime of us, because we are yet to even see what has happened. But I'm just making that general call, say, in our attempt to build the moral fiber of society, we must also interrogate the ways and means are so expose some issues that we regard as corrupt. So it is possible. Say bia anka yama no kwan say ono so on defend no ho a bia anko betumi aka say bi kwa anya me na me video no mu bia have been framed up and as it, but of course we would all be around to judge. Ntu be say why hasn't he been given the opportunity to defend himself and then Omampeni awon nkunsa so.
Yeah, but in that statement, no, the president says we refer matter no to the special prosecutor, but correct. While they wait for that, no, on chain like.
So near madwin mu ye me say bia na ono ankasa madwin na metro ono ankasa ono ankasa confess at the president.
Okay.
Bi nso so a na Omampeni pe na so nge se omanmu ayekuka that ministry no emu ayekuka nintino ene corner asumdwe kakra emra na migidi se eyesadia ene esanse na owo ministry ho a oni yura kan of reata edi nkomo bebre ntino ene omefa so na bia ken ono nso ahwe na ono nso di na dwuma atofom na obi foforo abeboa anka ebeboa na make us na me person me share also at a broader issue of the lessons that we have to learn, from some of these things. Well, number one, as I say, you try say you build our public service and public servants to be able to scale over entrapment and setups. That is anytime people are forced or pushed to do things ideal in be an na entrapment mean it's not good, but even if you are entrapped now, we should be able to build resilient public servants such that even if you entrap, you scale over it because obi winim say nyina ena asrabofo
sure
and I say a basika semus obidi sika ma na onipa nim say asitne moye din na obidi sika fufu na say sika wo so na to the bia judgment na aye compromise kakra enti wo Pentecost me see e fa aman na say wo duma ye pa
yeah that's true
ye di sika kakra kasa abegina wonim na obenya ho 20% bi na asefo a to the bia it compromises our judgment. Yeah. How to build a resilient public service and then also resilient public servants who, when they go out there to do business on behalf of the nation now, and compase follow for some of these things. You say, investment policies are too rigid and the bureaucratic bottlenecks that are oftentimes exploited by influence peddlers. Because only if you have a business simple, he will not do any business with an influence peddler. And an influence peddler also so or you are aware say it is very easy to set up business in our part of the world. He may not go about peddling influence.
That's true.
Which, like I said, is also criminal and a form of corruption. Me ka na ma
but na me person busa question so we share the swift response from the vice president in that Facebook post. Subsequently, letter free presidency by say Omampeni Apam Charles Boahen. In all of this, should the vice president be worried?
Na say obia utu baby na yenya video bi na so aseme ade abe for a week. I'm sure Ubi can tell because ABA by all Miss William Hobby. Now ABA we abeto Janutina more casa be only Hobby. He should be worried. But at the back I made a assignment to say I think he issued a swift statement to dissociate himself from what has happened. And Mijidi say until say the binya adansi phobia on the contrary, the statement that he has issued, should suffice.
Oh, okay. Now, person do want to see what baby so.
So be some question. I'm so now make us ni yeah best Yura can Toyota the 3rd John 11:1 official papa nsia and you know on hwe me akoso say papi on ne di nkomo and na asefo a we be can say na mtumoti wana sa nkomo we na amudidi e o finance ministry or na edwuma to ya wonu nkunsa ono so Yura ken e be sere ono so no se ne Ghana for bibri e ka no on from the men are there by the MPP's own cliche. The men are there. Tinkophobia, I will hold me to me aboa. Yama omo embra na ombeboa. Na fi best as some be made honestly miraho. It's answer politician and answer obi kudi a bibi okoye bibi sa na se enwa semba. Eya na enye ono nko a na affect no me sure say owe busuafo oyere no ne mba omunyina be affect o enti no men ka say asotwi bi wo ha men fa ama na mum ekwan a ye befa so na ye betwe asem no no o ma ye nhwe e say one sha na we are innocently also punishing emofra former government appointee bi na o ka kire me say MSM Kofu be true, I be fan, who be car, Bibisa, Kurankata, a train of was na or more than about 2 newspaper mo na dinda horna or more dinner temna, nebate classroom, and a teacher ni can kind graphic na or far graphic ni be and not say, we shall nebate classroom, not school for any now, one moving about Franny Papa Nidin. I actually didn't papa na temasa. Abofano sunya am so wanye yibi. Oh. And you know, sunya with me am trust school. Don't you know, asuchi and I said decision and we take care swift. It is in order. Say President, I refer to special prosecutor now. It's also in order. But as we discuss this, you know, we must also be mindful of the fact that ibinum of may be also be dragged in ebi omo innocent patcho munje manu ensi bone me unse social media be catch me say or man to me and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying say the president has acted swiftly on this matter and he's also referred it to special prosecutor. The special prosecutor I'm sure would also do his work into the young nemum and can in such a way to be a more frank and answer for a woman. Okay. Influence peddling is not peculiar to any one regime. Our bureaucracy has malfunctioned from independence up to now. The frustrations involved in trying to set up businesses and trying to get things done. The influence peddling would always be there, even though it's criminal and it's a form of corruption. Into to me at you be na wenye addition na biara ready to mission and so biara operating on the corridors of power so influential no any addition de na say it's criminal, it's also a type of corruption na yetso wa ebia na betumi they do.
I hope going forward the conversation around investigative style of journalism would be hard because already and interestingly anytime Anas Arimi ya Anas ede ne edwuma bia beba na amam for starting raising those issues. I've just been sent something from Atik Mohammed Awakase. Mercenaries in the name of investigative journalism are a danger to us all. If we do not demand standards from these so-called journalists, one day a certain president will become hostage to their schemes. But I have argued, sir, when it comes to issues of the national interest, I mean, some would say, sir, entrapment, even subterfuge, should be allowed once it is in the national interest. I don't know.
Well, you see, a debate be a ekoswa unfortunately in our part of the world ye maswa assembly chimpe na ija atoho there are two schools of thought ibin for say if it's in the national interest ukumuni pakra na say the information ba but like I said earlier no in our quest to build a just society, there should be an elite consensus on conventional and even unorthodox means to expose rot in our society. Okay. To my mind, we cannot employ immoral, corrupt practices to expose immoral, corrupt practices in society. And so, I think but again, in the man I am not privy to a choir investigate na akosi omofa so ye nti na mean to mean ka se omofa ekwan bone so and omoye and as omofa kwan papa so. I'm saying that begin to also interpret the modus operandi of investigative journalists vis-a-vis their quest to also protect the interests of the nation.
Okay. Prof, you better say Nana has your jury, a presidential staff, or say Menchia or Emano.
No, say, Minia, answer the beard, Nana, Minia. Or Nano and El Minia.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's the best about being Komobi when it be, right? Yeah, that's a Panyamin show. Professor Ransford Gyampo, political science lecturer at the